Arm pump and hand fatigue make riding more challenging, and not in a good way. No one wants to feel lost control or a drop in confidence, and we don't want to cut our riding session short on account of fatigue. Lots of handlebar manufacturers sell compliant bars at 800mm widths. The problem is, less than 20% of mountain bikers actually ride their bars at 800mm, often trimming them down to fit. When you trim a bar down, it gets stiffer and less compliant. That means that you're not getting the compliance you paid for in your 800mm bar. We wanted to make something better, but we didn't want rider experience to suffer based on fit and preference. So instead of making 1 or 2 bars that work pretty good for some riders, we made 12. That meant creating 3 width options and 3 rise options in both carbon and aluminum. To make the best handlebars on the market, we began a study in 2019 to investigate all the factors that can impact arm and hand fatigue: vertical compliance, natural frequency of materials, and vibration damping. After hundreds of tests, both with world-class athletes and average riders, we came out with clear conclusions. Natural frequency is directly linked to vertical compliance. The more compliant, the lower the frequency, and a better ride feel. Vibration damping features like foam-filled bars revealed no advantages. Vertical compliance is the most significant and the most controllable contributor to rider fatigue. We set out to find the optimal balance of vertical compliance and lateral stiffness based entirely on rider feedback, and found that 85% of riders preferred one particular sweet spot. The number, which we can't reveal, but it's measured in Newton millimeters, is now what we refer to as the Goldilocks tune or GL tune. Anything higher than this number is too stiff, and anything lower was too flexible. Designing carbon or aluminum bars to the GL tune meant revising the external shape of our previous NextR and Turbine R handlebars. The new Era and Turbine bars have a narrow clamping area for stems, a rise and taper that starts earlier, the narrow clamp area allows for this, a quicker taper resulting in a bar diameter that's 10% smaller than preceding bars throughout the rise, while still having the standard diameters in the stem and control clamping areas. These 3 things let us achieve our desired vertical compliance while sticking to a traditional round bar shape. With our GL tune in hand and external shape determined, it was time to optimize our bars for every rider using different widths, different rises, and different materials. We created an entire range of flex profiles and layups for a consistent feeling of compliance across each width and rise option for all Era and Turbine handlebars. We did this in different ways for carbon and aluminum. With Era carbon bars, we optimized compliance by creating bar-specific carbon layups. That meant tuning the placement, angle, and quantity of nearly 100 pieces of unidirectional carbon, each about 1/10 of a millimeter thick. For alloy turbine bars, we achieved compliant ride feel using internal butting with 70-75 aluminum. Internal butting refers to making the walls of the turbine bar go from thick to thin in different areas to achieve the strength and flexibility needed for a great riding bar. Optimizing vertical compliance for all turbine variants meant changing the position, degree, and rate of internal butting, requiring extremely precise aluminum engineering. Bar roll is a matter of personal preference and is important for achieving proper fit and body position on your bike. When considering bar roll in our design process, we opted to use a round bar shape because it addresses some issues with other bar shapes, like oval for instance. We did some testing and found that rolling an oval carbon bar forward or back between -20 and 20 degrees causes up to a 20% increase in vertical stiffness, which is more than 3 times the change seen in an Era bar. For context, our rider studies found that anything more than a 15% change in stiffness is obvious, even for a less experienced rider. Simply put, rolling the bar makes it stiffer and less compliant. As for forces being applied in a single plane, the reality of riding a mountain bike is that rider weight, and thereby the forces applied to a bar, are constantly shifting forward and back. When you consider rocks and roots and other trail features encountered on a bike, the plane of force application is always changing. Era and Turbine handlebars are the most advanced handlebars ever produced by Raceface. After 5 years in development, they've seen more than 4,000 hours of field testing, and we can confidently say that we have an answer to arm pump and hand fatigue. We made Era and Turbine in 10mm, 20mm, and 40mm rise options, 760mm, 780mm, and 800mm widths, 8-degree back sweep, 5-degree up sweep, and rated for e-mountain bike use with Class 1 and Class 3 e-bikes. Era and Turbine bars allow for you to ride harder, faster, and longer, bringing consistent compliance to every width and rise for every rider. The Era and Turbine handlebars are backed by our lifetime warranty, inclusive of crashes. For a full rundown on the conditions of our coverage, head to our lifetime warranty information page or click the link up here. Compliance in every width every rise for every rider.